I feel good. Feel real good. Pretty excited.
All right, so last year was your first year as head coach of the Red Dragons. Reflecting back, what did you take away from that season, and what do you ultimately take with you into this second year as a head coach of the program?
Yeah, man, the biggest thing is, we knew we had a rebuilding situation at St. Albans when we took the job. And the biggest thing that we wanted to make sure that we did was keep things in perspective. Not get too high, not get too low. Focus on what we called little victories. And I'll give you an example of the little victories that we were able to celebrate. Early on, we had some bigger losses. Statistically, we fell behind in categories that we know we have to win games. And as the season wore on, we started winning those statistical categories, and we wanted to make sure that our guys knew that those things were important and part of the process of winning. And so we would celebrate those things. And that led to more wins as the season wore on and tighter games. And we had quite a few close games from the midpoint of the season on to the end of the season. So, one of the biggest things is that we learned from our team last year was the idea of paying attention to detail. It was an issue, and it still is, but we know that the little details are what wins games. And so that's what we've tried to really build on from last year.
Certainly. If you join us here on the Brandon Lowe Show, got Brian England, St. Albans boys head basketball coach, entering his second year stint there. Reading through some of your blogs, man, I like it. I know you. It looked like you haven't done it in a while, but you talk about reflecting back, though, to previous stints or jobs, whether it's teaching or coaching. You look at things you could have done better or could have changed, things you learned or adversity faced.
Right.
What do these things do for you as a coach and mentor to these young men every day?
Well, for one thing, and this is something that I've gotten better at it throughout my coaching career, and the term perspective comes into mind. I've been able to have a better perspective about what we're really doing. Nobody wants to win more than me, but these kids that we're dealing with and this generation, they need people that are going to be solid role models. They need people that are going to demonstrate what commitment really looks like and what hard work really looks like. And so not getting so much caught up with wins and losses, but at the same time making it a priority because it is important, is something that I've learned throughout my coaching career. And to make sure that and honestly, the wins come when you keep those things in priority. When you get out of balance with your priorities and don't focus on this, and focus on just winning and not stuff that matters in life, then that's when you start, that's when you start losing games or when you start losing your perspective and losing your peace. So those are the big things that I've learned in my coaching career thus far. Looking back, I've gotten a lot better at keeping the game of basketball in perspective.
So certainly. In sports, of course, we look at athleticism and teamwork and fundamentals. Also, the mental aspect, extremely important. How much do you stress to your guys, maybe in moments of a game or during practice, that a positive mindset can go a long way? Because I think coaches all have their different philosophies and also different guys take different ways to get them respond. That's kind of the challenges of being a coach. But what ultimately that positive mindset, especially last year when you're going through some of those trivial moments, being your first year rebuild and getting these kids respond, first year head coach, how big is it to stay positive and have that type of mindset?
Yeah, I mean, we live in a negative world, so staying positive, not just in coaching, but in life in general, is something that's difficult. But, again, a way that I've grown as a coach is to realize that, especially with this generation, that they've got a lot of negativity in their life, and so for us as coaches to be able to stay positive with them, help them learn through their mistakes in a positive way, and doing that with the way we communicate. One of the ways that we stay positive is the way that we communicate. Doesn't mean that our standard is different. It doesn't mean that our expectation is different. But it just means that our delivery may be a little different than it used to be when we played. Yeah. So for the coaches that we played for. So positivity is a big thing. We're not perfect at it, but it's something that our coaching staff talks about a lot. And we just got to major conversation about it 2 days ago in a post-practice meeting about the importance of continuing to build these kids up, at the same time hold them accountable. And I think you can do both. I don't think that you necessarily have to be what some consider old school negative, bark is real loud type of coach, although there's a place for that. But I think that, again, balance is key.
Certainly, Coach England, St. Albans boys head basketball coach, upcoming year right around the corner, December 7th. Let's give you a chance to kind of talk about your roster and brag about some of your players heading into this, because the best part about a new season, it's fresh. You're 0-0, right? You haven't lost any games, 0-0, and you go into that first game with this fresh start. What do you like about your roster? Maybe a couple kids you're really excited about seeing get out there, get back out on the court and play.
Really excited about my team. Most of them, 5 out of our potential top 7 played football, and so we dealt with some of them had some extreme injuries during football season. The second leading scorer from last year, Reggie Jackson, tore his ACL, so he's in recovery mode with that right now. He tore his ACL in the Nitro game, second game of the football season, so he's out. But we've got a lot of guys returning. Most of our statistically. We have a lot of guys returning. Jamel Claver, I'm really excited about, 6'3", point guard, pass first guy, really good athlete, probably one of the best athletes I've coached. He's only a sophomore, and he's got a lingering back issue from football that we're nursing right now. Hopefully we can get that squared away. Rodney Toller is our returning leading scorer. He averaged 16 a game last year, and he's coming back. He'll be a junior, and he can really fill it up really quick, and really excited about him. Another kid we're really excited about is Ethan Clay. Ethan was our little scrapper last year. If anybody watched our games, he really got after it. Did a lot of stuff that wins ball games. And like we talked about with the little things, those extra possessions matter. We lost 3 games at the buzzer last year, and a loose ball here, a charge taken here, an extra pass there can be the difference in those games. So. Ethan Clay's the type of kid that does those. So those 3 guys in particular are really exciting. We have others. Braxton Good, the power forward for us, he'll be a junior. Really excited about him. We got a really strong freshman class in which most will play JV, but we're looking forward to the future with those guys. Bones Johnson's athlete, sophomore, 6'1", that's really going to come in and make an impact this year. So we're excited about our team. We're young. We've only got 2 seniors, 3 juniors, and 8 sophomore, 8 freshmen. So that's what we're looking at right now. And looking forward to seeing what they can do here in the next week or 2.
Certainly another year to grow for everybody, and that team is only getting older and more experienced. So for a coach, the future definitely is bright, including this year, because that's still a lot of guys with some playing experience there and some leadership. And you have a couple of scrimmages ahead of you after Thanksgiving break. Parkersburg South Road, Buffalo comes your place. What do you take away from these scrimmages as a coach? And, I mean, how do you approach these things schematically? Obviously, I'm not asking for a game plan here, but I'm saying as a coach, is this something – do you do something different with these scrimmages? What do you take away ultimately from these?
Basically getting a gauge of where we're at. Last year coming in, I got the job a month before the school, so we had to piece together some scrimmages. I'm really excited about the Parkersburg South scrimmage because that's a perennial AAA powerhouse, and I have a lot of respect for Coach Fallon and what he's done, and we're going to get to see what kind of team we are, and our goal is to be a state tournament caliber team and to compete for a state championship year in and year out at St. Albans. And so what better way to start that than competing in a scrimmage against a state power and Parkersburg South. So, we'll give Parkersburg South different looks, and they'll give us different looks, and we'll see who's more ready than others, and we'll see what we need to work on. Film's a beautiful thing, so we'll get good film, game action film, and we'll break that down and try to use it to improve like we do our practices.
Certainly. Finally, looking at your schedule, you have 10 of your first 12 games of the season at home, if I'm counting that correctly, and then I think you have 7 of your last 9 are on the road before postseason play would start. How do you feel about the schedule? I mean, it's great that you start at home that many games, and it's like, okay, that's great, but then it's kind of tough because knowing in the back of your mind you're going to have to go on the road 7 of the last 9 contests. How, as a coach, do you prepare your players for that because of that fact that they get to stay home, but then they start having to travel around, familiar opponents. You get used to playing in a conference, but it's just interesting there that it's kind of a heavy-loaded, top-heavy schedule from the top at home, and then you got the road contest in the season.
Yeah, it's kind of just how the schedule fell this year. I'm looking at it as a positive. I'm looking at it that month where we're on the road a lot. I'm looking at it as a positive from a standpoint of our section. In order to make a state tournament, our section, you have to win on the road at times if you're not the 1 seed. And obviously the 1 seed is the goal, but the games are played at the higher seeds gym in the sectional tournament. So going into the sectional tournament with that much road experience consecutively, in my opinion, as opposed to the back end of the schedule being at home, and then say you're a 2 seed or lower and you have to play on the road in the sectional tournament, I feel like our kids will be fresh and more prepared for a road environment. Yeah. That because they just recently, towards the end of the season, played a lot of games on the road. We got a young team, so playing at home early on, is good for these guys. A little more confidence, a little more comfortable. And then, the challenges in that month in January and February where we're playing a lot on the road, so that will be challenging. I think it is what you make of it. MSAC, as you know, is a very tough conference, and our section is a very tough section. We've got Capital, South Charleston, and George Washington in our section, perennial powerhouses. And I wouldn't have it any other way, man. I mean, it's the best of the best, and to be the best, you got to beat the best. So I say let's get after it.
I love it, man. He's Coach Brian England, St. Albans head boys basketball coach, entering his second year. Will begin the season at home December 7th as the Warriors of Riverside will come to St. Albans. Coach, appreciate your time. I'm excited for your team. I'm excited to see what they do, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.